and welcome to Season 3 of Community Storytelling. I so like the sound of that. I'm Lissa Kreisler. Thank you for being with us here at KCAT TV 15, Jaco Artwork. If you are a newcomer and you say, where is that artwork from those canvases? They're gorgeous, aren't they? Yes, Jaco Art House. And Linda Lester, we couldn't do this show without you, so thank you so very much. We have two very special guests today. Before I met them, I thought they were married because they're both from Monte Sereno. And I said, two people from Monte Sereno working with the same group? But they're not married. Let's get that straight right away, okay?
Thank you.
Vik Ghai and Kelly Rose. Hi, you two. So what is your connection?
So
Go ahead.
we work together at Child Advocates of Silicon Valley, and I'm on the board, and she's actually one who makes the board actions actually happen. She works on the staff.
So Child Advocates of Silicon Valley. I've got to say it's near and dear to me. When I first started in radio 40 years ago, I think that was, you guys are 33 years old, right? 33.
Exactly.
So I was at K-Bay Radio at that time, and I got very involved helping out and doing shows and free speech messages and things like that. So it's a lovely organization.
Well, I have never heard of it until a year and a half ago. So it was just a fluke that we were traveling, my husband and I, back east, and his friend's wife happened to be a CASA, and it just resonated with me. So as soon as I got home, I Googled it, found out about it, went to an info session, signed up to be a CASA.
Well, and we'll get into that in a second, because everybody's saying a CASA, that's a house. What do you mean you're
exactly.
a house?
Yeah.
So first off, one easy, quick sentence, how you would describe Child Advocates. Who gets that one? You guys are too polite. Just butt in.
So from my perspective, I think it is the way for community to help the kids who have suffered the most neglect and abuse in their childhood.
So are we
Very
talking
simplistic way.
only foster kids?
It's primarily foster kids, and you're working with the court system. But I think the more important part is you become the eyes and the ears of a judge who would never meet the foster kid, but he will make probably the most life-lasting impact from his decisions on what happens to the foster kid. But this judge will never get to meet the kid as often as a volunteer could. And that's why a judge out in Seattle in 1977 thought of this idea that maybe have some everyday person, common life, no special skills required, go and spend some time with the kid, write me a report, and I'll make my decision based on that.
Well, you do need one special skill. You need a good heart. You need
That's
a good
right.
heart. CASA means court-appointed special advocate.
That's correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And you're changing lives and you're saving lives, doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
We're trying to have an impact with the outcome of a child who have gone through an unfortunate situation. Whatever that situation is, it's not their fault. And working one-on-one with them, to be their mentor, to be their friend, to be their cheerleader, really is just a really rewarding part of being a CASA.
How many kids have you had?
I've been on 2 cases,
Okay.
and I have 3 kids.
Okay,
3 separate.
so we're of course not saying names or anything like that,
Exactly.
but just tell us about your kids. Who were they, and how did they end up where they were?
So my first case was one where I was questioning whether or not I was making an impact, whether I was making a difference, and if I should give up. Am I really? And I guess I would tell you this. It really just impacted me a lot. That allowed me to continue on. My first case was a 12-and-a-half-year-old girl whose father was incarcerated for a number of years. So he will not be able to support her in her teenage years. The mother has a situation where she self-medicates and is bipolar and is really just not in the picture. So when I met with this 12-and-a-half-year-old, I showed up every week. We did a lot of events, but she was very non-communicative. It was very nonverbal. Every time I asked a question, it was a nod or a shrug, and it was just a monologue. So, but I kept going, we kept meeting and we did things, and I think she enjoyed them, but she didn't show it.
Yes.
So when the case finally ended in November of last year, I wish her the best. She's with a loving family, and So I thought, okay, I'm going to move on and so forth. Out of the blue, around Christmas time, she texted me and said she got a new phone, and this was her number.
Oh, wow.
And then a couple months later, she texted me because we had talked about her 8th grade field trip to Washington, D.C., and how we were going to raise funds to do that because it was an expensive proposition. She texts me with pictures of her and her friends on a bus in Washington, D.C., being silly faces.
Yeah.
And it just melted my heart.
I bet.
And so she reached out to me, and subsequently we met, and we've gone to the beach, and we were able to do things just to stay in touch. That she knows that I'm always there for her if she needed anything.
So
even though
you
the case is
changed
closed.
her life, and she obviously changed yours.
It did. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
it's an amazing
Yeah.
feeling. So
So all of these kids are sort of in the same situation, maybe different backgrounds a little bit.
Yeah,
Yes.
the age group of the kids that our organization is supporting goes all the way from 6-month-old to
Zero.
18-year-old.
Zero
So the
And they're all in foster homes?
they are
Or
all in
some sort of a
they're in
home
the
away from their
codependency system in some way. But there are about 1,000 kids in our system today. This is just in Santa Clara County, and actually that's kind of what also got me more involved, is to understand that this is the need in our community now. This is not happening in some remote part of the world that where you can help. This is happening in our community now. These people live in our county, and we have about 1,000 that the organization is serving, and we probably have another 200 or 300 more that are on a wait list that we want to serve.
So, you know, if you're watching right now and you say, I think I want to do this, how do people get involved with you?
go to BeMyAdvocates.org
Easy.
and sign up for an info session. We'll tell you all about it. I think the beauty of this is that don't be afraid, because I was like, oh, how can I do that? I think what's great about Child Advocates is that they provide you with the tools necessary to become successful. You get 30 hours of training. A lot of it is face-to-face, some of it is online. It's very easy to be, in terms of evening and sometimes day classes if there's enough of a demand. So we try to make it easy for working folks to also learn and become CASAs. They'll teach you about the court system, they'll teach you about best practices, they'll teach you about the do's and don'ts and just, dependency, domestic violence, everything that you're armed with in terms of being successful.
I would say you can help actually two ways. One, volunteer itself,
Yes.
right? So like she said, BeMyAdvocate.org, but also if you want to have a coffee with me, I'm happy to meet you in Los Gatos downtown anytime and talk about it, right? So you can get your initial
Great.
butterflies out about this.
Great.
Two, you can also donate us because we also recruit. We have an active recruiting campaign, a training campaign, and a support system for the volunteers. So we have a lot of volunteers who are working and still they do this, but they may need help every now and then to answer a question about somebody who's seen some kind of abuse and trying to get over it. So we have specialists on board. So both volunteering or donation would be a way to help. Coming to events like a golf event, even just that help, having a golf on August 26th in Los Altos Country Club, coming to Wine Women and Shoes event, just any different ways, come have fun and at the same time support CASA.
And people can find you if they go to the Child Advocates of Silicon Valley website and you look under This Is Us, and I think it's Board of Directors, and your name is there. And I guess if they click
That'd be
on,
great.
does it
Yeah,
give you your
exactly.
email?
Yeah.
Now, I always have to finish a story. So when you were talking about your 12-and-a-half-year-old girl that you were with, and now you're still friends with her, or a mentor, however you want to call it, and you say the court case ended. How does the court case end? Do they decide where she's going to be placed or where she's staying? How does the court case end?
I think the best court case ending is reunification. That's our
Okay.
goal, right? Is to be able to provide services to the parents that may need help in order to gain the custody of their child back.
Although in her case-
in her case, that was not possible.
Right.
But that is our ultimate goal, first goal, I should say. And then if not, we would like to place them in a family or a relative home, if that's possible. In my child's case, it was with a godmother, which was, ideal as well.
That's what godmothers do,
That's
or
right.
they're supposed to at least.
Or they are adopted. So reunification, adoption, or legal custody. Those would be reasons for case to close.
All right, and hers ended very
And hers
happily.
ended in a loving home, yes.
That's
So
the way.
So I think that is a great example of the changing the life, because 90% of the kids that CASA system supports, where there's a volunteer, there's a reunification or some. If there is no volunteer, the case just lingers on and on and on, because everybody is speaking their mind about what needs to happen to the kid except the kid themselves.
So
and that's what
I think
kind of
it's-
Kelly would did.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I'm really pleased about being part of the agency is that you see the impact. So you see that the outcome for kids that have CASAs, their graduation rates are higher.
Wonderful.
Versus the national average or the county average. And so there are other stats and outcomes that we track that says that we make a difference. And so that's kind of neat because it's very personal and it's right here.
You indeed make a difference. Thank you so much for what you do and your passion. And it's Child Advocates of Silicon Valley.
My advocate.
BeMyAdvocate.org is how you would maybe sign up to and make a difference in somebody's life and have that child make a difference in your life. Especially if you have idle time, volunteer hours, they're fabulous, right?
Yeah, I
So-
mean, you're only talking 1 hour a week or 1 to 2 hours a week.
Several
Yeah.
hours.
Yes, that's nothing.
All right.
That's nothing. There you go. Community storytelling at its finest. Thank you, Vic. Thank you, Kelly, so much. Thank you for what you do for this community.
Thanks for having us.
And
Yeah.
I love when we have somebody from Monte Sereno. This time we had two.
Yeah.
How do you like that? 2 out of 4,000.
Yeah.
We only have 3,998 to go. Do you know them all?
There you go.
Have them get in touch with me at
right.
KCAT TV
good.
15. Thank you so much for being with us with Community Storytelling. I'm Lissa Kreisler.